Well, as you heard in the news, it's 6 years since the first case of BSE, or mad cow disease, was detected in Britain. And since 1985, fear of infection has haunted the country's farmyards and supermarkets. Now, a leading biologist has predicted that mad cow disease will disappear within the next 10 years. But he says farmers risk reinfecting their animals by burying dead beasts instead of burning them. Well, top scientists and vets will meet in London today for a special symposium on the future of mad cow disease. The chairman, Brian J. Ford, joins us now in our Peterborough studio. Brian, good morning to you.
Morning to you.
Well, we thought perhaps we'd seen the last of the so-called mad cow disease, but it's still with us. Why is that?
Well, I think the main reason is because for all the research that's been done, nobody really knows what mad cow disease is or what causes it. I mean, we tend to think that diseases are genetic or due to something that you eat, or that infectious diseases are caused by bacteria or by viruses. And I've noticed that sometimes people talk about the mad cow virus, but in fact it is not a virus. Diseases like BSE are caused by entirely unknown forms of infective agent, and nobody understands really what they are.
But I think it's correct to say that the government scientists who've been looking at it are saying that in fact it's the reason is animals eating protein, such as cows who are naturally vegetarians.
That's absolutely right. I mean, I remember thinking to myself years ago, you see, you can't, to me as a biologist, you cannot actually short-change nature. You cannot short-circuit nature. And it is unnatural to give cows, which are exclusively vegetarians, animal protein to eat. But of course, we do live in what they call the market economy nowadays, and it made great sense for animal waste produce to be funneled into pet foods and animal foods and into farm feedstocks. And as a result of that, you have been feeding vegetarian animals, herbivores like cows, with animal proteins. And as soon as that begins, there is always the possibility that you might get some strange reaction. In fact, when they started looking at microscopic sections of tissue from infected cows, they found tiny little bodies which they called prions, P-R-I-O-N-S, a new form of life. The prion, they said, is a new germ that causes the disease, but in fact the prion turns out to be the host's own protein. And prions are actually made in some way by infected cells, but the prion doesn't cause the disease. And to this day, nobody really knows what causes BSE and its sheep cousin, if you like, scraping.
Well, given all this, how can you be so confident that it's going to disappear within, I think, 10 years, you've said or suggested?
Well, nobody can actually be that confident that it's going to go within 10 years. But you see, at the present time, we've got about 1,000 new cases appearing every month. There are 20-odd approaching 30,000 cases in Britain. But if what the government believes is right, namely that the feeding of these possibly infected animal feedstuffs, now that that's been stopped, and if the government's right and that did cause it, then you can mathematically predict that by the end of the 90s, BSE should have gone. But that, of course, is no absolute certainty, and it may linger on longer than that.
So really, as you're saying, up to the farmers. If they stop feeding animal protein, then the problem might disappear. The other aspect, of course, is this danger of the farmers not disposing of the carcasses properly. We've heard that they're burying them. That could reinfect the soil, or indeed not burning them at correct temperatures.
Well, you know, temperature is an important thing with BSE, because most germs are killed if you pressure cook them. But that takes you to 120 degrees Celsius. And that will kill any form of life. But it doesn't kill BSE. BSE needs much higher temperatures than normal. And I don't think one can actually blame the farmer. What's happened is that there has been a vast infrastructure in agriculture, which has always taken care of the reject carcasses, that reject carcasses would be taken away, or that ill animals who weren't going to be fit for human consumption could be taken away by the knackers van and reprocessed into pet food. But of course, everybody now has realized that if you're going to break the cycle of infection, you can't go on doing that. And as a result, there's a huge infrastructure, a huge hidden industry in Britain, which has just suddenly almost ceased to exist. In the old days, if you had an infected calf, you would ring the knacker, and he would come and take it away, and you as a farmer would receive a small payment for it. What happens nowadays, of course, is the knacker says, well, I can do nothing with this carcass, so if you want me to take it, you have to pay. And farmers don't have the spare money to do that.
Poor old farmer caught in the middle again. Well, Brian, thanks indeed for joining us. And as we say, let's hope it does in fact disappear in the next decade. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
From our Peterborough studio there. Well, after the break, we'll be looking at the adoption scheme just about to come into action. So stay with us.